All right, welcome. So you want to get into Python, right? Well, there are two things you absolutely have to get your head around first: how the language deals with text and how it makes decisions. Today, we're going to break down those two essential building blocks: strings and conditionals. So let's kick things off with a question. Think about it. Computers, at their core, they just get numbers, ones and zeros. So how in the world do they handle text? How does a program work with your name, a password, or even a sentence from a book? Let's figure that out.
Well, the answer is our very first building block, something called a string. This is how Python handles pretty much any text you can think of.
So what exactly is a string? It's just a data type for storing a sequence of characters. And that word sequence is everything. It means Python sees text as an ordered line of characters, one after another. Doesn't matter if it's a single letter or a whole book, it's all just a sequence, and that's what lets us work with it.
Now, in Python, you've got a little flexibility. You can create a string using double quotes, like you see on the left, or you can use single quotes, like on the right. Why have both? Well, it's super handy when your text itself has a quote in it. For example, if you wanted to write the string, "It's a sunny day," you'd wrap the whole thing in double quotes. That way, Python doesn't get confused by that apostrophe.
So we can store text, but just storing it is kind of boring. The real magic happens when you start messing with these strings, when you actually put them to work. Let's see how that's done.
First up, we have concatenation. Sounds fancy, right? All it means is smashing strings together. And you do it with this simple plus sign, just like adding numbers. If you take the string hello and add it to world, you get hello world. But notice how I put a space inside that first string? Yeah, Python is very literal. It only combines exactly what you give it. So how long is a string? Python has a built-in function for that, len. But here's the classic beginner gotcha you need to watch out for. Len counts every single character. And yes, that includes spaces. That's why the length of Opna College isn't 11, it's 12. That space in the middle totally counts.
Okay, pay attention, because this one is huge. To get at specific characters inside a string, we use something called indexing. You can think of it like every character has its own address or a position number. But here's the golden rule of programming you just have to burn into your brain. In Python and most other languages, we always start counting from 0, not 1. So in the word Python, P is at index 0, Y is at 1, and so on.
And this leads to a really important, kind of weird thing about Python strings. You can look at any character using its index, for sure, but you can't change it that way. Strings are what we call immutable. Fancy word, simple idea. Once they're made, they can't be altered. If you want to change a string, you actually have to create a brand new one. So you're probably thinking, wait, if I can't change them, what's the point? Well, the answer is slicing. This is how you grab a piece of one string to make another one. The whole cutting a slice from an apple thing is a perfect way to think about it. You aren't changing the original apple, you're just taking a piece of it. So how do you do it? The syntax is super specific, but it makes sense once you see it. You take your string's name, add square brackets, and then put your starting position, a colon, and your ending position. And here's the number one thing to remember about slicing. It grabs everything up to, but not including the end index. It stops right before it gets there. This is where slicing gets really cool. You can count from the beginning with normal positive numbers, like on the left. But you can also count backwards from the end using negative numbers. This is an insanely useful trick. Imagine you need the last few letters of a username, but you don't know how long the username will be. Negative indexing lets you do that, no problem. All right, deep breath. We've tackled text. Now let's shift gears to our second building block, giving our program a brain. How do we get our code to be smart, to react differently based on what's happening? How does it make decisions? We do this with something called conditionals, and honestly, you use this logic every single day without even thinking about it. You start with if. If it's raining, I'll grab an umbrella. If that's not true, you go to the next check, elif, which is just short for else if. Else if it's just cloudy, I'll bring a jacket. And if none of that is true, you hit the else, which is your fallback plan. Else, I guess I'll just wear sunglasses. See? It's just a chain of checks.
Okay,
I need you to listen closely to this next part. It is maybe the most important rule in Python and something that trips up almost every beginner. See that space, that little indent before the code that runs inside a condition? That's called indentation. And in Python, it's not just for making things look pretty. It's how Python knows which code belongs to the if and which belongs to the else. It is absolutely 100% required.
Okay, so we've got our two power tools, strings for text and conditionals for logic. Now let's put them together and see what happens. This is where you can start to solve some really interesting problems. Let's try to solve a classic coding challenge, one you see all the time when you're starting out. How can you write a program that can take literally any number and figure out if it's odd or even? This is a perfect job for our new conditional logic. The secret weapon for this problem is a little thing called the modulo operator, that percent sign. What it does is pretty cool. It doesn't give you the answer to a division problem, it just gives you the remainder. So 10 divided by 2 is 5 with a remainder of 0. So 10% 2 is 0. But 7 divided by 2 is 3 with a remainder of 1. So 7% 2 is 1. And that's our aha moment. What's the remainder for any even number when you divide by 2? It's always 0.
So check out how clean this looks in code. We just ask a simple question with if. Is the remainder of our number divided by 2 equal to 0? If the answer is yes, we print even. But if it's false, well, what's the only other option? The number has to be odd. And that's what else is for. It's the perfect otherwise that catches everything else.
So you've seen the tools, but learning to code is more than just memorizing syntax. It's really about learning a new way to think, a new way to break down problems. It's all about the programmer's mindset. As we finish up, I want to leave you with a few key ideas, kind of like a programmer's survival guide. First, focus on understanding why something works, not just memorizing it. Second, practice. You have to write code to get good at writing code. Third, and I cannot stress this enough, it is 100% okay to Google stuff. Seriously, every pro does it, all day, every day. And finally, stay curious. Always be asking what if and just keep building things. And that really brings us to the big question. You now have the basic building blocks for handling text and making choices in your code. These two concepts are the foundation for, well, for almost everything. So, you've got the tools, you have the building blocks. What are you going to build first?